In my lifetime, I've been pulled over by police officers over 20 times. And out of those 20 plus times, I've only gotten speeding tickets 3 times. Want to know why? And no, I'm not a police officer or the relative of any police officer. If you want to know how to possibly get out of speeding tickets, please stay tuned. Also, I'm not a lawyer and I hold no liability to anything that does or doesn't happen to someone else. There you are, driving along, getting from point A to point B, and the next thing you know, you see those blue and red flashing lights behind you. First things first, look for a nearby safe area to pull your vehicle over to the side of the road. Maybe the police car isn't stopping you. Maybe it's just going to pass you. Oh no, they're pulling in behind me, so they must be stopping me. Here are 10 tips to help increase the chance that you won't get a ticket. No one can promise or guarantee you won't get a ticket, but if you follow the information provided here, you have a better chance of not getting a ticket and not getting arrested. Number 1, pull over as quickly as you safely can and try to be off the road as much as possible without damaging your vehicle, and then put your car in park. The officer will eventually be standing on your left, so the more space you provide for the officer to be off the road, the safer he'll be. By the way, I'll be referring to the officer as he and him throughout this video, since over 85% nationwide of police officers are male. Number 2, roll down your window the entire way to the bottom. The officer needs to see inside your vehicle, and you will be handing him your license, insurance, and registration, so make it easier. Number 3, turn off your car. You are doing this because the officer doesn't know if you are going to rabbit or not, meaning try to drive away and run rabbit run. Number 4, take the keys out of the ignition and place them on the dashboard where the officer can easily see them. Again, let them know you aren't Bugs Bunny, you're not about to run. Number 5, turn off any music if it doesn't automatically turn off with the ignition. Police have to talk over the sound of traffic and don't want to have to talk over noise coming from within your car. Number 6, keep your seatbelt on for now. Let the officer walk up to the car and see that you're still wearing your seatbelt. Number 7, and this one is important, place both hands on the steering wheel. If you have passengers, they should place their hands flat and facing down on their thighs with the finger and thumb all visible. This will help officers see that you and your passengers are not holding anything at all. Number 8, wait. Sit there and wait. While you wait, do not reach for anything in the car. Nothing. Not your license, registration, insurance, cell phone, nothing. Just wait with your hands on the steering wheel. When officers see people reaching for things in their car, they think you're either reaching for a weapon or trying to hide drugs, or both. So keep your hands on the steering wheel and wait. But I'm going to be late for work, or I'm so nervous or anxious. Yeah, correct. You are nervous and anxious. That's a perfectly normal response to being pulled over by police. But what's taking so long? I just want to get this over with. Well, yeah, it's quite a bit nerve-wracking. But the officer is currently checking your license plate in the computer system to make sure it's up to date, to make sure that the plate and the vehicle make and model match what he's looking at, and to make sure this vehicle hasn't been reported stolen. He's called in your license plate and is waiting for the response. Nowadays, they look it up on their laptop in the car, but either way, he's checking on it. Once he has the information, he'll walk up to see you. Before we go any further, I'd like for you to understand more of why police officers are about to treat you the way that they do. You see, you are an escaped prisoner, mass murderer, serial killer, car thief who is desperate to get away from this cop no matter what. Yeah, you. You are a dangerous threat to this officer. Doesn't matter if you are a 97-pound teenager or a 300-pound NFL defensive lineman. You are a threat. For all this officer knows, he's going to walk up to your car door and it's going to be bangity bang bang. But like, I'm a totally law-abiding, God-fearing model citizen. But this officer doesn't know that, doesn't know you, doesn't know what's going on here. Officers have to be defensive because it can save their life. This officer is going to ease up on his defensiveness as we continue through this interaction. But remember, they have to be defensive. They have to be cautious. It can save their life. Once the officer is ready, he will approach your car door. While he interacts with you, bear in mind his concerns. Number one, who are you? He wants to see your driver's license to see who you are. That is going to help him identify a lot of info. I don't mean just your date of birth and that you're a Sagittarius. It tells him if the driver's name and the owner of the license plate he just checked on is one and the same person. If they are a match, then it's not a stolen vehicle that just hasn't been reported yet. If the name doesn't match, he now has to find out why Susie Smith is driving John Smith's car. The license plate is registered to John Smith, but this isn't John. If that's the case, volunteer the name to the officer. Don't just say, this is my dad's car, or this is my friend's car. Instead, say, this car is registered to John Smith, and that's my dad. I mean, anyone can say, oh, it's my friend's car. But when you say out loud the name that the officer already knows, it helps, since that wasn't something you could have just guessed and got correct. Okay, concern number 2 for the officer. Have you been drinking or have you been using drugs? This isn't personal, it's just something that they're always looking for. Obviously, they don't want impaired people driving on the roads. They're trained on what to look for, but since you're 100% clean and sober, the officer will be able to tell that as your interaction and your conversation progresses. Okay, concern number 3. Are there any warrants out on you or any of your passengers? This is why they will ask passengers for the identification. I'm not going to get into whether or not passengers have to provide ID and all the legalities of that, but he is checking to see if he happens to have found someone who has a warrant out on him. So you have your hands on the steering wheel and the officer approaches you and starts to speak. Suggestion number 9 is read the room. What's the first thing the officer says? Is it good morning or hello? Whatever he says, respond. They say good morning, you reply good morning. They say hello, you say hi, hello. But if he walks up and the first thing he says is license and registration, then you have your work cut out for you here. But remember, using the word sir or ma'am can be helpful. It shows you're being a bit respectful. Took you long enough, now I'm going to be late for work. That's not a good response. Number 10, after pleasantry greetings, you'll be asked for your license, registration, and proof of insurance. Don't move. Keep the hands on the steering wheel. Don't reach for anything yet. Look at the officer and describe where each thing is. I will use myself as an example here. Yes, officer, my driver's license is in my wallet, which is in my back right pocket. If you're in a good position to view that, I will retrieve my wallet when you are ready. Notice how I'm showing concern for his safety and acknowledging that as I reach behind myself, I could be reaching for a weapon. I'm also implying the question, are you in a good position to see? As well as asking for him to let me know when he's ready. I've watched plenty of police videos on YouTube, and people rarely take this simple step, and yet it will quickly build rapport with the officer, as well as show him that you understand his defensive position and want to work with him to help assure him that you're not going to harm him. And side note, as I pull my wallet out from around me in slow motion, I hold it with just my thumb and forefinger, and I even hold out my pinky. When he can clearly see it's just a wallet and not a weapon, I then place it in my lap and I get my driver's license out. Once I've handed over my license, I place my wallet down, place my hands back on the steering wheel, and then I make my next carefully worded statement. Officer, my registration and proof of insurance are both in the glove box. When you're in a good position to see the glove box, I will lean over and get those for you. Again, he doesn't know what's in my glove box. Maybe that's where I have my weapon that I'm going to grab and use to harm him. So I wait for his response when he's ready, and then I lean to my right by only leaning right, not leaning forward. Do not lean forward. Now we get to the play it cool section. Police officers seem to ask the same questions to everyone they pull over. Now, I'd like to think that I'm a nice, respectful person, but these questions seem to invoke the smart mouth, rebel, I'm an American and ain't none of your business side of me. However, play it cool, because police officers tend to all ask these questions, and if you want a chance of getting out of this ticket, your chances increase with the level of respect and politeness with which you answer. Standard questions include, where are you coming from? Where are you headed to? Have you been drinking? Where are you coming from? Oh, I just robbed the First National Bank and I'm trying to make it to the secret hideout. The feds are hot on my tail, so if you could speed this up, that'd be great. One thing I'm sure of, when they ask, where are you coming from or where are you headed to, in either case, an answer that does not go over well is your mom's house. Anyway, try to stay cool and answer with the truth. And here's your chance to slip in a few sirs in there. I'm coming from the grocery store, sir. Or I'm headed to work, sir. Do they care what your answer is? Not really. What they're actually doing is just getting you to talk so they can determine you're slurring your words a little bit, maybe you've had a little bit to drink. Side note, this isn't the time to play games or try to be combative. Let's be clear about something here that isn't popular to say, but it's honest. You are not in control here. The officer is. It's not your world, it's his. But I'm an American. Yeah, and you are driving on public roads, which requires you to follow the laws, federal, state, and local. And his job is to enforce those laws. Generally speaking, and feel free to disagree with me in the comment section, but law-abiding citizens don't usually make a big fuss about being pulled over by police. He's just trying to do his job, and part of protect and serve is to protect people from impaired drivers and reckless drivers. I myself once got out of a ticket for expired emissions and inspections on my car, which would have been a ticket over $100, because I always act in the manner in all of the suggestions discussed here. He gave me 7 days to get the car up to code and then drive it to his local police station, which I did, show them that they're now valid, and he ripped up the ticket. Bear in mind, if you're doing more than 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, the odds are you aren't getting out of a ticket. Come on, speed racer, be real. You were doing 88 in a 65 zone. You're getting a ticket. But you might not get added charges like reckless driving or endangerment if you follow all of the suggestions in this video. I hope the tips in this video help you like it's helped me over the years. Feel free to share this video with your heavy foot friends. And remember, like the snail said to the turtle, slow down, you maniac!